Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's going on, guys? We're back here. We got Garrett. We don't have Miles. First episode in a while. No Miles. Obviously, I'm back here as well. We got SAYKHO, other known as 7 Fig SAYKHO on Twitter. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. How about yourselves?
Doing very good. Very good. Happy to be here. Big Amazon seller, big Twitter personality as well on the podcast. Couldn't be happier. Flips for Miles. If you're listening to this replay, should have been here, man. Not sure what you were doing at a vet at this time of the day, but it is what it is. So,
all right, let's get straight into it. If you've listened to any of our previous episodes, we know our first question. Walk us through how you got started into Amazon, where you learned about it, and give us the intro.
Yeah, I started Amazon back in 2020, right? No, not actually. I started reselling back in 2020. So around 2020, around February, I was working that dead-end job, Whataburger, just flipping burgers and whatnot. It was terrible. So I'm up here trying to figure out how to, make money on my own, trying to actually get rich and get out of the entire rat race thing. So I started with basic, thrift shopping, going to Goodwill, buying used clothing. That was terrible. Like if you read my pinned tweet, that's the story of how I started. So I went to Goodwill, bought used stuff. It was all right. It works at scale, but it kind of sucks because it's not much profit. It's very slow. There is no FBA. You do everything yourself, the fulfillment, customer service. So it's very slow. And then a lot of processes that are outsourced for Amazon simply aren't outsourced for eBay. So that wasn't working. I did 257 in sales before I realized, okay, this is trash. Let's find something else.
$257 or $1,000?
It's dollars in 90 days. But it was terrible, right? Yeah, it was just dog water. So ran into a tweet because at that time I was getting to CJ Johnson. He's going crazy with dividend investing back then. It was super, super crazy. He had it everyone was on dividend investing. That was a trend back then. It's all right, dividend investing is the way to go. So I went into that. Didn't take me long to realize 3 to 6% annually wasn't going to do much. Then I caught another tweet because, CJ brought me onto Twitter, then Money Twitter, that entire ecosystem. And I ran to a tweet on product for profits, profit for products, one of those, product for profits. And I joined that cook group. And ever since then, that's when I really started scaling up. So I did my first 4K month and my next 12K month. And that's when weights were going crazy. And then that was in the midst of COVID, right? So all you had to do was go to Walmart. You could really just touch anything and flip it online for 100% ROI. Then I started book flipping around, what was that? September, August, late August, September-ish. And that's what got me into Amazon. That's how I went into Amazon. Was book flipping, and I started with that, went full time with that. And then from there, I started really pushing seasonal RA because I started seeing those trends, something that was profitable this time of year would be profitable next year. So I was like, okay, these trends are happening. So that's pretty much what I did for all of 2021 with seasonal RA. That's how I made my first 220K in sales. Nice. With both Amazon and eBay. With seasonal RA. Yeah.
When you were flipping books, how long were you doing that for? Because that's how a lot of people start, is just by going through scanning used books. How long were you doing that, and then why did you stop doing it?
4 months. I was doing that from August to December.
Okay.
And then in December, that's when I really clicked onto seasonal sales. Christmas was right at the end, and I was just hopping on those Christmas items. So those seasonal items that just aren't really profitable outside the season. It's not really toys, because you can sell toys whenever, but it's more specifically Christmas stuff people only buy during Christmas. And I picked that up and I was and I did 12K in 2 weeks with those. The greatest I've ever done in a shorter period of time. So it was whoa, I'm gonna focus here. And then from there, I really didn't focus on books more because I realized, books were a great starting point. I loved books. They taught me everything I know. I made all my mistakes on books, but it's I really want to push into this higher profit, higher margin. It's a little bit more risky because there's more money at play, but there's more profit, So I really started pushing seasonal right after that.
So let's dig in tactically in terms of your seasonal efforts, right? How
Yeah.
were you identifying what may be a profitable opportunity as opposed to a non-profitable opportunity? And then how did you go about finding those in stores? Like what sort of stores did you go to and how did you know to go to that store?
My biggest supplier was basically Walmart and just basic retail arbitrage. I just go and scan it. And with seasonal sales, it's a lot easier because, people tell you to scan the whole store, which is, quality advice. But seasonal gives you something to target. It's much more pinpointed. I don't have to scan the whole store. I just have to scan this entire aisle. And then once I scan this entire aisle, I know exactly what's profitable. It's the most, so that's basically it. I just go into Walmart. If it's Christmas, I'll go into like the home and outdoor section. And I just start scanning. I was scanning everything. The thing is, they were super profitable. Like $50 items were selling for $150 and things like that. And I still find those every single season. And that's really what I focus on, the seasonal already.
There was a point where the advice of go scan the whole store, like almost made a lot of sense because like every other product was selling for like 3x what you could buy it for. It's not really the case anymore, but I think concentrating it, like you said, in certain sections, or if it's seasonal, like going in this aisle, this specific type of product, that's really where the effort should be at. Because if you're going through like scanning through like the makeup section now, like it's not really going to be.
People still say that. People be like, scan the entire store, but you pick the right season, right time, right aisles, you're much more likely to hit those profitable items.
So you weren't using BrickSeek or any sort of hunting tool?
No, I didn't start using Keepa till BrickSeek. Yeah, I used BrickSeek to map out my stores. So like if I find an item in this Walmart, I'll use BrickSeek to see when it comes back in stock, so I hit my restocks and what other stores around me have it. I never used BrickSeek for like sourcing and creating leads. I didn't even use Keepa until January. I didn't use Keepa until I started doing OA because I was just using Google Trends because it was purely seasonal. And if it sells, I buy everything. If it doesn't sell, I return it. So I didn't use much Keepa. I didn't use a lot of software. I was super basic and simple in my setup. But
what was that you mentioned? Google Trends?
The Google Trends.
Yeah, we've never. I don't think we've ever heard someone say they use Google Trends for looking up.
Yeah, so let's dig into that because I'm not familiar with what that is. So let's dig into that a little bit.
So Google Trends is basically, it shows you the trends of keywords. So like it helps you see what everyone is searching at a certain period of time. So if you were to put in Summer Wave, which is a very popular summer brand for pools and whatnot, if you pipe it into Google Trends, you could see the spikes every summer. So like, when is this item going to be hot? You could literally tell. You could tell where the peak was. You could tell where the fall off was, when you need to sell out, when you need to start buying. If you just look at the trends, you can like easily sell it, like see exactly what's going on every single year. And then if you like span out to like 5 years, you can see 2020 was crazy. 2021 was less crazier. 2022 is even less crazier. So I was just using Google Trends. Like you could even use it for like outside of Amazon, because I know Squid Games, like stuff like Squid Games. Of course, if Squid Games is popular and everyone is switching Squid Games, the costume went crazy during Halloween time. So people who were like sourcing it from Alibaba, they were selling it on Amazon for that profit. If you would have like to look up the Squid Games on Google Trends, you would catch the same drift. So, I mean, just catching trends was like my biggest thing. So I know I could just use Google Trends for that, since, I was just really hopping in and out of trends and seasonal items. Yeah.
Well, admittedly, I feel like a way boomer right now because I've never heard of it. But is that a paid tool, or is that a free tool?
It's free. It's free. You can literally type in Google Trends right now and type in whatever brand you're looking into. You can see how popular it is right now. Like how much is people searching it up.
Yeah, you can search anything on it. Like you can see the popularity of people. I mean, you can search
celebrities. Yeah. I was just using it to like figure out when to strategically, attack certain items, certain brands. Yeah.
So from that, when did you starting to use? You said you weren't using Keepa then. When did you start getting into like Keepa and maybe some other paid tools?
This January, because before then I was strictly seasonal RA, like December 2020, December 2021. That's why my taxes were so terrible, because in January of 2022 is when I set up everything. It was like, okay, you're making enough money with this. You just start building something scalable. And that's when I set up my LLC, my S Corp, business bank account, my purchasing sheets, my inventory dashboards. That's when I got everything. Started learning Keepa, and I put everything together in that month. And then I started pushing on since then.
So when you were sourcing previous to January, how were you qualifying like items without Keepa? Like what were you looking for? What metrics were you looking for to make sure they would sell?
Well, I would look at the seller rank, but of course, seller rank isn't the, be all. If it's not great, it's not everything. Just gives you a good little insight. It's not the best method, but when you have a good idea of trends, you can kind of do it. What I would do is I would list an item. If it sells, I go buy it. Now, I have a good understanding of stock in my stores. Like, I have a good understanding of the competition as well. So it's like, I know I'm not really competing for the 20 units that are in this store. Scanned it, I know it has the potential to sell, but, it really hasn't hit that peak in the season yet. Like, let's say we're 2 weeks out from summer season really going crazy. So there's a couple of items that I'm like keeping an eye on in stores. And I have like 10 units listed right now, but depending on the sales preseason, that's how deep I go later on. So I wasn't really using Keepa, right? So I wouldn't know if an item would sell until I sell it, basically. And I would use that sales information to start really diving deep.
Yeah. And
so all of your seasonal stuff is predominantly merchant fulfilled, I would assume?
Yeah, all MF. I don't really do a lot of FBA for seasonal because you want to have more control of the returns and stuff like that.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the best way to figure out how many units you really need of a certain product, because it tells you a decent amount of the story and how much it's selling and the demand, but you don't really know how much your account's able to sell until you start listing it.
Exactly. I just learned that recently this year as well, which is how Keepa tells you information, but you still need sales data to actually make bigger purchases.
Yep.
But I would say that makes you really good at merchant fulfilled shipping as well, because I know just having that practice in, like, I can ship 20-pound items for like $9 if you have like the right specific strategies to use.
So fast forwarding a bit to present day, what your business looks like now, what's your breakdown in terms of sourcing online as opposed to in store?
Are you asking like what separates them, or like what am I doing for each?
Like percentages in terms of the whole of your business. What's the breakdown in terms of OA and RA?
Summer was a bust. Summer was a big bust. So summer's only picking up now. So I would say right now it's about 90-10. In a couple of months, it might be more 60-40, 70-30.
90% RA?
90% RA. I went strictly RA. I mean, strictly OA. OA, my bad. Because the season I was supposed to be great wasn't great because of a bunch of different issues. Suppliers jacked up the price. Amazon was in stock everywhere. Demand wasn't as high. So there's a bunch of reasons why summer wasn't that great this year. It probably won't be great next year either, but certain items starting to pick up. So it's going to change a little bit.
Yeah. Prices are high, wages are falling, so demand.
Recession, man.
it may be a cold summer, but I mean it's still summer. I mean, those types of seasonal items are still going to be flying, but prices. This is something I'm really noticing now. Prices are never going down. Like I remember I got an email a year ago from a specific distributor saying these price increases were only temporary. And I just got off a call with him actually today saying like they are never going down ever again. Like this is what the price is now moving forward. And it sucks because it all gets passed on to the end consumer for the most part. Because I mean, I'm not going to take a loss on products, or I'm going to try and make as much margin as I can, kind of is what it is. But I think it could be affecting some of the demand this summer on Amazon.
I feel that a good amount of seasonal items I'm going to get into this year weren't really affected. Their prices are the same from last year. Some of the items that were changed, they're not as profitable, but I'm still, seeing what the market does with those.
And what part of the country are you in?
Texas.
Texas. Awesome. That's sweet.
So summer's always nice here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of the OA sector, how are you sourcing and how are you finding your leads? Are you using TA or is it all manual or?
I tried tactical arbitrage before I went deep with OA. It didn't make sense to me at the time. Like I didn't understand anything because I barely knew how to read Keeper back in like September of last year. So when I started OA again, the first thing I did was get a mentor. Went and got somebody who walked me through the entire process. Like basically held my hand. And I do strictly manual sourcing. So your storefront stocking, your reverse sourcing, your brand sourcing, your newsletter sourcing. I stick basically to those, and I have a VA that I'm training. You know, she's getting better as I get better. And basically we're just 2-man teaming this entire OA operation. Yeah.
How much are you paying your VA an hour?
$3
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so how'd you go about finding the VA, and did you interview them, and what was that training process like to sort of get her up to speed to what you're doing with your OA business?
So I went with a more expensive option since, you know, I went and got my mentorship, and he just laid out the plan and I just followed it to the T. I didn't really do a whole lot of thinking because I wanted to get the process in as fast as possible. So I went with Fast Track FBA. So I paid like, almost $1,000, like 8, 9 something. It's about 900. So super expensive.
How has that worked out for you? Because I've heard a lot of people use that. I've heard pretty good things about it.
It's solid. I say it's solid. When my next VA, I do plan on training myself. So she trains they train them for a week. So after a week, they give them, and then you got to do the training yourself. So they know the basics, like Keeper, whatever tools you use. So if you use RefSeller, they'll know how to use RefSeller. They'll know how to use Keeper. If you use SellerAmp, they'll know how to use SellerAmp. My only thing is you really don't know how much they know. That's the weirdest thing. Because she wasn't my first VA. Like, because I had another VA in different parts of different businesses, but it was super weird because you don't know what to really go, like where to go from there. So that was my biggest issue. It's like, okay, what do you know? Like, how much do you know? Do you know this? Should I train that? Should I not train that?
Yeah.
So they only trained them for a week. That's interesting. I thought it would have been longer.
You would think, but she's good. She's super, super solid. I don't know what their hiring criteria is, but it does seem pretty super good. But next time I'm gonna go online jobs, try to train myself and see comparison, you know, see how that goes.
Yeah, you got to be ready. You're gonna get about 300 emails overnight.
Now I feel you, man. Online jobs, they go crazy. They do go crazy.
Yeah, they all want work. I mean, it's cool. It's a really good market to hire people. A lot of them are really, really good workers.
Yeah, especially if you know how to like filter, like the copy and pasters and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, this goes for anyone listening about VAs. Your VA is only going to be as good as you train them. And if they're making mistakes, 90% of the time it's your fault because you need to train them properly.
Switching gears from the whole VA space, right? So take us through your day-to-day. Obviously, you got a lot going on with your social media, which we'll get into in a bit, but take us through your day-to-day in terms of what all you got going on.
So I'm just coming off Ramadan, so my daily schedule is a super big mess. I'm trying to switch up my entire schedule scene, but usually I wake up at 5:45, and I'm not big on the wake up early, go to sleep early, because I'm more of a night owl myself. I love staying up all night and working because it's quiet. There's nothing, you just work. So like my nights are usually my mornings but I'm Muslim, so I got to wake up for Fajr, which is first prayer of the morning, and I hit my first prayer then, and that's just how I set up my day. So prayed in, eat breakfast, shower, whatever I got to do. 8:15 is the first work interval. I usually do 4 a day. So from 8:15 to 9:45 is really when I'm working. Then from 9:45 to 10:30 is my lunch. 10:30 to 12 is my second work interval. Then 12 to 2:30 is a longer bit. And then from 2:30 to around 4 to 5. After that, I go do some training, you know, what's that stuff called? Kickboxing, grappling, all that good stuff. Come back, whatever works left, I do that, you know, prayers in between all those time slots. And yeah, that's pretty much it. With Twitter and stuff, it's just another work interval. So I don't really specifically say I want to do X at this work interval. Yeah, a good amount of my Twitter is automated. Like all I do is write content. So the tweets you're seeing today, I wrote like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I just write content, high theory posts, and then everything goes into the engagement groups and automatically just posts and stuff. So I write in like 2-week blocks. So I'm usually not even on Twitter most of the time, but it looks like I'm on Twitter.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to get at, trying to really schedule out my posts, but I haven't really done it yet. A lot of times I'm doing it on the spot. I'm like,
yours are so spur of the moment. That's your
Makes sense.
You'll notice a lot of my tweets if I are in like 10-minute batches because I might be like taking a shit or something, honestly, and I just like fire out 4 great tweets. A lot of times that's what happens, but I'm gonna start scheduling them out. That's really good.
The cool thing, yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I was saying the schedule you have, having like
Yeah.
the work blocks. I haven't heard anyone explain it.
That's
That's almost
interesting.
like it's almost like a school format. I actually really like that.
Yeah, because
Where's the origination of that?
YouTube. Because my biggest issue with all this entrepreneurship, self-employed stuff was schedule. When I first quit my job, I stopped college, all that good stuff. I kept falling into these depression fixes, and I was just stuck. And it's just like, what's going on? I have all this time, I'm not spending it properly. So it's like, I wasn't having these issues when I was at school. When I was working on my side hustle because I had a specific amount of time, specific work block that I could work. So I was like, I need that military discipline to really, start figuring out when I need to work. I need to work at this time. I have this time off. So there's no real question. I don't wake up in the morning wondering, all right, when we going to get to work or what we going to do today? It's already set out for me. I just kind of hop into my flows, basically. So all that depression stuff, honestly, I haven't dealt with any of that stuff in months. Ever since I started this workflow, not even my work schedule, I've been straight, like mental health and all that good stuff. I've been straight. But before then, it was just trash because I don't feel like my output was matching my input. So once I fixed up my schedule, I felt like my intentions and my output started matching a bit more. And I don't know. I feel like my mind just like, all right, yeah, we get here. So I think I need a schedule, basically.
How long have you been doing this schedule for?
10 months.
Also, almost
10, yeah, almost a year. I switch it up because of Ramadan, because I go full nocturnal during that whole month. So I switch it up then, and I'm just not reverting back. And I'm also trying to do a bunch of other stuff. So we're just trying to catch that stride again. But even then, even if I miss, just having that goal in mind that, okay, you missing isn't the norm. You still need to get back on track. That really feels solid. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so heading into the next day, are you talk about the work blocks, right? Do you schedule work within a work block, or you just get into the groove and just kind of do whatever you need to do at that time?
Usually before 8:15 is when I do all my scheduling. So when I schedule, it's not like, oh, it has to be done perfectly and it has to be done then. This is just what we're working on for this work block. So if it doesn't get finished, we go on to the next work block and we work on it. Because what I do is I just schedule it by priority because I'm like my smartest at 8:30. And then I get dumber over time. So at 8:30, I schedule all my super important stuff. And then over around 3 or 2:30 is when I have my busy work stuff, stuff that just has to be done, like my prep for FBA or stuff that doesn't really require a lot of thinking because my brain is just in soggy mode at that time. So yeah, but whatever doesn't get finished gets moved to the next work block, or if that work block's too important, I'll just move it later. It's flexible, super flexible. So it's write 2 weeks of tweets. If I don't finish my 2 weeks of tweets, I'll save it for tomorrow. And I'll hit that up tomorrow. But if it needs to be done ASAP, I'll move into the next work block and move everything down. Kind of a situation. So there's no real big set of rules. It's super flexible to what the needs are, what the to-do is, the activity. And yeah, that's kind of that. So it's not too strict.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that whole layout.
Appreciate it.
So transitioning, obviously we know you have a Twitter presence. Where did that start? What did that first tweet look like in terms of pushing you to start putting out content?
I've been on Twitter for 2 years. The 7-figure SAYKHO is my second account. My first account is the Melanin Money. And all I do is post platitudes and stuff. So I write 2 weeks of content in 3 hours for him. And I don't really go on that page. I don't really look at it much. That's where I started. And then it was weird then because I tried to mix in my Amazon and the Melanin Money anonymous account, and it wasn't really working because it's just it felt like I was trying to put in 2 brands into one. So I separated them. Started 7-figure SAYKHO last July, January, last June. Last June. So we're coming up on a year in a month. And first tweet was solid because basically everyone I knew from them Melanin Money, my first account, like my engagement groups, my network, they all came over and they supported me, helped me out. And then I already had templates, which is basically Twitter templates. You just fill them out. So it's like a simple template is the real flex is X. I know y'all seen that a lot if you be on Twitter. Yeah, they're like the real flex is, the ultimate flex is, and you just fill out whatever you want after the is. So that's a template. So I had a bunch of those from my money account that I didn't even have to really change. I just copied and pasted over. So like the first month of content is old Melanin Money account, tweets. So I didn't really have to rethink much. I spent that entire month focusing on brand, offers, and more tweets that come in the future, pretty much. And yeah, that was pretty much it for Twitter.
And how long have you been running the 750 SAYKHO account?
About a year. Started in June last year.
Awesome. Yeah, so over 10,000 followers in a year. That's really good.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
We got to
So
get.
fast forward.
I was just saying, we got to get Garrett scheduling out the tweets on Twitter.
His tweets are nice. Tweets are crazy value. It's like you got to give a little clickbait because if there's not enough clickbait, people just don't care. So
And to be honest, where my Twitter started was I just used it as a template for Instagram.
I know what you mean.
And so all I would do in the beginning was tweet, screenshot, crop it, and put it in an Instagram post.
Yeah,
right? Because a lot of my focus, contrary to y'all, is on Instagram rather than Twitter.
Yeah.
So the reason why I started it is simply just using it as a clean way to portray a thought, right? Valuable thoughts in the Instagram platform.
I know what you mean. I've seen those. They're super nice. Yeah.
So we do have to wrap up here in a few minutes, but I have a final question. I'm sure Garrett has a final question as well. My question is, what does your family think, or what did they think when you started this whole entrepreneurship journey? Like you quit your job, like what's your family saying to you?
So when I first started, my mom thought I was selling drugs online. She thought I was selling drugs. It's the crazy part. Because I just bought a bunch of USPS boxes and just had them under my bed because one bedroom apartment just had a bunch of boxes everywhere. So she was just like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm selling stuff online." She's like, "Are you selling drugs?" I'm like, "Really? Selling drugs? Where am I going to get the drugs from?" So we have to go through that entire process of these aren't drugs, these are Walmart stuff. But ever since then, pretty much she actually helps me out with a lot of prep. My sisters helped me out with a lot of prep. And it was weird at first. When I first quit my job, they were like, "Okay, so you're a bum now," basically, because if you're not working, if you ain't clocking in, they look at you a little funny, they like, "Bro, what are you really doing? Where's the money?" Especially they don't understand how much your hourly rate wage is. They don't really understand when you're working, when you're not working. It's just like, okay, you're not at work, so you're not making money, basically. But we got through all that because bills getting paid, money getting sent. So we all good there. When I dropped out of college, they was like, "Okay, you've lost your mind at this point. You just lost all your marbles. You're going back to school." And then I broke it down from them. All right, I'm making X amount this year. There's really no reason for me to be in college. Plus, I love computer science. I love coding. Like my Twitter automation, 50% is code. So I love code. I'm going to get my coding stuff right. I'm going to get there. I just got to get my money right first. So it's like, when I was explaining to them, it's like, I'm going to get back my education. Probably not going to do it to college because I hate biology class. That stuff sucks. I can't do that. I can't stay awake in those classes. So I'm just going to go through non-traditional routes, get my computer science knowledge, and we're going to work it out that way. And, just reaching agreements, letting folks understand where I'm coming from. They can't really see the vision, but I can help them understand, what I'm trying to achieve, basically.
All right. That's all.
Man. Well, first of all, thank you for spending some time with us.
I appreciate y'all for having me on, bro.
Where can the loyal Buy Box Bandit listeners find you on social media?
7 Figures SAYKHO is my main on Twitter. I haven't been on YouTube, Instagram, and all that stuff. I do have an Instagram account. It's not too active, but very soon we're going to start pushing out content around those. But just on Twitter, 7 Figures SAYKHO, 7 Fig, 7 FIG, SAYKHO. That's where you can find me.
Cool, man. We will see everyone next Wednesday for another episode. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.